Those who need to move, you move. Don't worry about it. I know some of you have planes to cash and bills to pay and stuff. So it's okay. Since it's 3 and there was people on the live that we're gonna start hanging out. I'm starting right now. Thinking about little stories. So Sakyamuni Buddha was watching a yogi of his time crossing the Ganges by walking over the water. That's the story, right? If it's true or not, doesn't matter, but let's go for that. It's a story. And Sakyamuni went to this master after seeing him cross the Ganges a few times. He says, "Excuse me, master, you must be a great master." Maybe that was a trap. See if he was arrogant or humble. The yogi was humble, says, "I'm a master. I master stuff." Whatever, Didn't take advantage of a position or a title. Just, okay, a master, but what? What do you mean? Well, I've been watching you cross the Ganges on foot quite a few times, and I want to know how long it took you to master this power. And the yogi said, 10 years before it succeeded. 10 years of practice and mantra and discovery before it succeeded. And I've been doing it for 10 years, perfecting, like it just becomes easier and more natural. Oh, okay. Bye, guys. Have a good flight. Bye. So it would have been possible for that yogi to take advantage of anything, but it was just stating facts. And it took a lot of practice, and usually, that it's because of this story I say, if you want one of those supernatural stuff, it's a decade. Not a decade for a newbie, a decade for someone who knows what he's doing. Correct practice, someone who knows how to meditate and does the siddhi for a decade. And then this kind of thing will happen. So you need a lot of discipline. Okay? Some people call it devotion. You're very devoted because you meditate every day. No, it's called discipline. Okay? It is discipline. Sakyamuni told them, it costs 2 rupee on a boat. And you could have spent 20 years cultivating the power of compassion. But to each their own power. And that was the story. It's pretty cool. Because the power of compassion is, how easy is it to integrate your emotions when we're together in the room? The supernatural power I cultivate is compassion. It's actually anima, the subtlety, the subtle world. And it makes it easier. The blockage are not that block. The cement is not that hard. Because that's my power. And Sakyamuni inspired me in that you can be, your supernatural ability is what help others become more happy. Or find peace at least. Okay. But for fun, as a trick, we would do a little practice of transmutation, a little transmigration, a little this, a little that, all this stuff about altering reality. And it's child's play. We create grains of sand. Satya Sai Baba, up to just a few years back, he died now. But, just 5-10 years ago, Satya Sai Baba would just walk and he would water fruit. He would raise his hand and the fruit would slowly appear in his hand, like slowly grow, and then he start eating the pear because he was hungry for a pear. Just why? You go to the fridge, this is where you get your food. I just want it. I don't want to go to the fridge, I just want the pear. So he had one. Okay. At one point he was in Shakti super high, he was crying and he wanted a tissue, but he didn't want to go through the mechanics of you have to ask someone, they have to find a tissue. No, I just wanted a tissue. He put his hand like this, and 2 little bolts of light happened, and 2 tissue fabric fell into his hands. So he went like this, to sweat, and you just put him on a side, and someone took it, and now it's like some kind of relic, This is a Satya Sai Baba. He was creating a lot, and that's what we're talking. Thousands of witnesses in India just a few years back. He was a creator of matter. He was a creator because he says when it creates something, it's a divine act because you need to be the creator. So part of me is Brahma, So he explained that a bit when I teach you a class of creation of matter, but we do grains of sand. We do nothing because it's child's play. We just want to show you that kind of wisdom, but we're not going to go and start doing that practice for 2, 5, 10 years so you can create a pair. I mean, if it takes you 10 years, just go to the grocery store, buy a pair, and like go to the fridge, take it, and then spend your time cultivating another power. It could be just your integrity, the respect of you and others. It can be all of that, you know. So to each their own. So we speak of the supernatural mostly because it's the way to verify in a perceptible way that you have done something that science and mechanics as we know it today would not do. So it's consciousness. But then, you know that your consciousness affects something. So do you need proof again every day? No. Just do your thing that you have no proof if your consciousness did anything, and pray for your loved ones. And trust that your prayer did an influence. And you can't save them because we're not saviors. So if they have a cancer, you pray and maybe it'll make their cancer less painful and they'll still die from it. You know, you can't really touch and go miracle. This is extremely rare and only for people who devoted themselves to healing. Like Tarabejaye, who devoted himself to specifically healing for so long that's the thing he does. Yeah. And yeah, he doesn't levitate, doesn't do alchemy that much, he doesn't do all the other things, but he supports healing. Okay? Because that's his power. It's a guy. If you don't know him, it's normal. Okay? You don't know. But he's actually Tarabejaye says, Maha, no. He called me Francois because we met in another context. So he called me by my social name. So Francois, I have a question for you, okay? I would like to know a mantra to do specifically that. Say, okay, so you want to be in touch with the elements, like the basic raw. Yeah, I'd like to do the elements. Okay, take a pen and paper. And this is the first time in my life that I uttered the 5 basic elements because someone asked me a question and I said, okay, write this down, and just create them on the spot. Like, this is what you're going to do now. And he made a mistake. He put in an I too much. Or missing an I. It's Prithvi, and he just said Prithvi. He was missing an I. Not an I here, but a letra I, okay? So I just punched my eye, man. So after a few days, I call him. I'm in my car. You know, this thing that you can call with your car instead of the phone, so you're still legal. And he says, yeah, you're missing an I. I said, what? You're missing the letter I. Just tell me the Earth mantra you're doing. What? Well, you told me. Read it. Okay, he spells it. Okay, you're missing an I. It's Prithvi. It's not Prithvi, it's Prithvi. Okay, Om Prithvi. Okay, tell this I. You're missing an I, so you're not getting all the influence. He says, fuck. Seriously? All right. So for him, it was like, this dude feels, after days of not seeing me, the energy I have doing that mantra that he taught me, and he calls me to correct the thing. Man, you know, that's a credible teacher. I'm gonna keep going, you know. And that's how we started. He just asked me, and I created the first official mantra of the Manjriya. And that was like, you know, a while ago. So to each our own power, to each our own thing. The majority of the work we do on ourselves is personal growth. It's just good therapy. It's a psychological thing. This is what turns you into a better person. Then if you are attracted by a specific thing, a specific concept, for some it's I feel the elements, I want just to do Qigong and feel my energy. It's useful. It helps you. It's not critical, but it's useful. And then you have this guy that says, I want to levitate. Well, what they say about teachers is when you're not good at something, you go and you teach it. You know, in school, that's what happens when you become teachers. You couldn't earn actually a living doing that. It's just a joke, I like to say. It's not that funny, but I like it. And so basically, so I don't do it, but I'm going to give you the teachings I have. And then they start doing they start doing the practice, but they need to do it a long time. And only one, so far that we know, has done it in public with witnesses. Because until you do it with the witnesses, you could also be imagining things yourself. Witnesses is not to show off, it's to have a validation for yourself. So how much time did Ganagagni spend on that? Well, she's special. She spent energy and time doing so many practice that at one point the Lagima kicked in and it's just like, yeah, whatever. So anyway, it is interesting in our tradition that we speak of all these mystical things, and we think that is weird. Then we read the sutras, the Bible, the Torah, and read about the supernatural of this time and say, wow, but it was way more powerful that time. No, it wasn't. The story was blown up. I was talking to Corina. We were talking about when Krishna lifted the bridge with his pinky finger. And the bridge was telekinetically, and he was far. And with the Sudarshan, he just like, with the power of his Sudarshan chakra, some kind of special weapon that he has, that he lifted the bridge, filled military people to put them on the side before the bridge fell, because it was a torrent that was going to destroy the bridge. And he just lifted it all up. Okay, so here's the story the way I remember it. Still subjective. Can't prove I was there. I wasn't, but I heard the stories. And Krishna using his pinky, the finger of mind. Okay, so using his mind and the power of Sudarshan. What is Sudarshan? Su is auspicious with certainty. That's Su, like super darshan, okay? Su. Darshan is to gaze. So Krishna did exactly what you did with the dices and the hands and the water, okay? He just gazed with absolute authority and certainty. That is Sudarshan. It is an implicated, powerful, divine gaze. Exactly what I teach you all the time. That's Sudarshan. Okay? So they say Sudarshan is a disc because it's a chakra, so it has to be a disc, and it's on this pinky. No. With the power of his mind, he can focus his gaze and command nature. So there were military crossing the bridge, and he just held it in place before it tore until all the military were gone, and then he just let it go. And when he removed his gaze, the torrent came. A bit, still very funky, supernatural. Could have been just a coincidence, but it was breaking. He went like that. Just come on, get off, guys. I'm holding. Hurry. Completely different than a story that people were worshipping Indra. So Krishna says, if you worship Indra, this is not the highest god, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva is the highest. So you should worship me instead of worshiping Indra. You'd get more results. But that's Krishna was completely incarnate as Vishnu. So saying, ye pray me, they pray Vishnu, so it's better to pray me. More result than praying Indra. So Indra got angry and made a torrent. Indra didn't get angry. It's not a person. It just happened to be a freaking torrent. I mean, it's just like, it rained hard. I don't know. But people started fantastically and say Krishna with a Sudarshan, with a disc of power on his pinky. He just went, sent it, and it lifted the entire bridge and then deposited it on the side of the... No, he didn't lift the bridge, he held the bridge. Different word. But you translate and, he gets funky. And all the military could be safe, meaning that they walk out. It's not like he lifted it like this. Do you understand? It's so easy to confuse the supernatural and make it a fairy tale, fantasy, improbable thing. Although at one point, we got witnesses of people who saw Shivagan teleport because, he was here and Paghi was there, and he just kept giving class, So, yeah, we're stretching it a bit, okay? Now that the people that would react to the story are gone to take their plane, I can teach this and stream it live, okay? So that's cool. Supernatural ability is fun, but its most interesting use is the validation of where we are in terms of being a good person. That's the most important thing. And everyone who had power in history that was worth writing about, Jesus, Melchizedek, Krishna, Sakyamuni, Zoroaster, there's a whole bunch. All of them were saints with an extremely good behavior, and they were trying to teach a system of personal growth. They were saying, get better. So the consistent, the thing that is consistent, how can I change word? The constant, okay, let's use that one. The constant amount, all of these who had power, is that they were actually trying to get you to be a good person. Forgive, be charitable, be disciplined, take your life in charge. They were working on themselves. So the more you work on yourself, the more you make yourself available to more. And then the hippie stuff is fun. And that's it. It's pretty fun. It's based on being a good person. And mostly, it's to be useful. Maybe you're not going to get your miracle healings every year. Maybe it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But if you start praying for people to heal, you know that your consciousness is an influence. And if you pray, don't dramatize. Oh my God, I'm praying for this poor grandma that she's so sick. And I'm so sorry, and she's suffering so much. So please help her because, her life is so terrible. Amen. So most of your time was like, she's having a shitty life. Okay, God, no drama. But my grandma has a hard time. I want you to bless her and have a good life. Feel a bit better. At least find peace in her sickness. Help her heal or help her through it. And your prayers all on the positive focus, acknowledging there's a problem, but not feeding it with your drama. And then your prayer is an influence. And once in a rare while, after like so long of like working in herself, there might be some funky thing like suddenly my grandma doesn't have liver cancer anymore. Like, wow. I mean, she died of a heart attack, but it wasn't liver cancer, you know. So, you know what I mean? I mean, we're still gonna go at one point. It's gonna happen. So all these people. That's another question I get all the time. Okay, how can we live forever? Why would you? It must be extremely boring. But anyway, I mean, I can teach what I've learned. Since I'm not currently more than 100 years old, any teaching I have about it is uncredible, has no credibility. I've done so much healing on myself and others until I was kind of sued by the College of Doctors for the amount of miracles I did. They really didn't like it. Yeah, the highest authority in Canada of the College of Doctors came with a brick of stuff. This is all the documents we can use to put you in jail, even if we're wrong, and even if you're right and we're wrong. If you don't stop healing, we're gonna put you in jail. Okay. It was extremely clear. I said no problem. I called my webmaster. 20 minutes. I said in 20 minutes, my any website that speaks about all of this stuff, it's gone. I'm gonna keep my philosophy thing going, but are we cool with that? No problem. Just stop talking about healing. So that's it. That's when I stopped doing it. That's when I completely said, hey, nature told me it's too much. It was one miracle after another, and like, no, it was a bit too much. So, yeah, it happened. I have nostalgia about it. I'm kind of disappointed, but I agree. I mean, it was a blessing. Nature found a way to tell me, hey, you're going to cause more reaction now. Just chill. Tell people to be a good person, but stop with that, too quick. So, okay, let's stop. I took a few websites off and everything. It happens. So, you are going to have a moment of healing at one point. It's going to be fun. It's going to help. That's cool. I think this is the most useful thing in all that we learn to become a good person. The side effect, which is just a side effect, it's not a main goal, is that we can easily ease ourselves through a sickness or heal it very fast. Student of, so many people we know. I mean, some people have died and come back to life in the Mangia. We have doctors document and hospital photocopies of hospital and signatures of all of that. It's pretty cool. But I mean, they weren't really dead. They were just clinically declared dead, but they were still doing it. Like Sonny Sorensen, who he just stopped breathing for 15 minutes because he died. That's it. But this guy says, I was just doing the basic elements. At one point, he come back to life. He's sad. He's like, okay, I'm ready to go home. Fuck that. That's an example. We have a lot of those. And we like to document it when we can, so it stays factual. And like the doctors don't understand why. Yeah, okay. At one point, he ate strawberries or something, and his body decided, now, if you eat strawberries, you die. Okay, so his throat, and that's it. Didn't breathe. And he just sat there, conscious, incarnate in his body. He did transmigration. He went into his body and stayed there. So his body telling him, I'm done. He says, I'm not. I'm here. I'm just here incarnate. So he was incarnate. And a bit in the vape, he was a bit like, he was suffering the death experience, which was like, he described it, and it's pretty intense. It's similar to other people who describe the death experience, before you go onto the other side, when you're just like, what the fuck's going on? So that's that. So it's useful to do the supernatural because it heals you. It keeps you more focused. It gives you a better life. The ultimate goal of Mahajriya is for your self-realization. What does that mean? It's for you to get to a point that you choose if you reincarnate or not. Now it's pretty mystical. So let's say the goal now is just to make you all good people. Let's say that's the goal of Mahajriya, for everyone in the world to be happier. That's good, right? But that's as a society. We want everyone to do personal growth so that everyone will be better with each other, so that the entire planet eventually will manage more their emotions and their crisis, hoping that the world gets better. That's the main thing. At the global scale. That's the Mahajriya goal. But as an individual, what does it mean for me? Why should I be a good person? Why should I do all this spiritual practice? It's for you to get to the point where you are completely free, including of the laws of nature, including life and death. Cool? Freaky enough? Oh, you're still going to die. That's for sure. It's about, are you coming back or not? Nirvana. The word nirvana in Sanskrit doesn't mean heaven. I'm going to nirvana. That's a misunderstanding. Nirvana means not to come back. Nirvana. That's word for word. Okay? To get to the point where you don't have to reincarnate unless you choose to. So you reach a point that you're so at peace with this world that you don't need this world to keep gaining dharma. Then you keep gaining dharma. You do whatever you want. Someone wants to become a star, go become a star. You want to be life on a planet? Okay, right, do that. Find a way. Universe is big. Okay? That's later. That's for future, It's still stories, and I don't have proof, but, with all the funky stuff we've done, it might be possible, maybe not. Maybe, okay? So self-realization is when you get to a point where you choose. It's the most basic expression of freedom. You're going to experience the rest of eternity where you want it or how you want it. That's the most amount of influence you can have on your life. So you try now to change your reality. You learn how to focus on what you really want to live until it manifests. You learn how to manifest, basically, and to alter reality. You're practicing being accomplished. That's what you're doing. Until you get the point, I'm going to spend eternity, or you might change your mind in 10,000 years, but I don't think you'll experience time when you get there, so it won't really matter. But you want to be a rock star, okay? Well, come over and be a rock star. But yeah, it could be anything, right? Could be a drag queen. You never know. Just saying. Did you do this sometimes? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I was watching your stream once. It's like, that's him. Yeah?
Fry him doing one, but as a guy.
All right, cool. Well, I'm not going to be in the country, but I would have gone for sure just to see you. But I've seen your stream on Facebook once. And I know this guy. He studies with me. like. So anyway, Rishidva likes drag queens. He's straight, but he likes drag queens. He finds it's nice. He just loves the show and everything. Anyway, follows RuPaul's career and all this stuff. Anyway, so I was talking supernatural. I started to talk gay shit. What the hell? So, I mean, if we enjoy it, right? So if you want to spend the rest of eternity in a divine state, if for you God is to be in the world producing life, well, you'll be attracted to a planet or Well, you'll become part of the system. You might stay around. What Jesus did is, I want to be God. All right, stick around and help them, So you can pray Jesus and is still around to, he's non-local, meaning that there's no specific one Jesus. He's now just part of the stream of consciousness. And when you pray his name, what he has accomplished is still available. Let's talk about prayer when you ask a question. You do not pray an individual. You don't ask God because he's not a person and he had no intention. Parenthesis, you don't have a life mission. God did not give you a mission on earth. That's bullcrap. There's no purpose for you existing here, okay? It's just that if you find yourself so fucking useless that you invent that your imaginary friend gave you a role to play so you can stop feeling useless. If you want to feel useful, go help someone. That's it. Be a good person. God doesn't give us missions. We're here to discover what the fuck is all of that. Okay? So, when you pray, there's no specific individual you pray. You pray the whole stream of consciousness. So the words you use matter only because when you say love, what you feel is love is what goes. If you say consciousness, what you experience as consciousness is what goes. If you say snow, depends if you know snow or not. You get that? So the words you use actually refer to the experiences you have of these words, and that's what the prayer is going. What's doing? It's the feelings you have when you pray that radiate, and they radiate into this field of universal consciousness, gets charged by the request and comes back. Words don't come back. So you say God answers in mysterious ways. It's because he's not using words. Something happens, and it's all a mix of dharma, of experience, of sensations, and you feel better, or something changed, or you did your influence. Okay? So God is not an individual. It's the stream of consciousness in all things. It's the universe without a specific local entity. Okay? So it's not a person. So you can't offend God. Fuck you, God. Actually, nothing wasn't offended. There's no God. There's no God. Basically, there's no God. God is not. There is one because there's none. Okay. You remember the rock thing? If everything was rock, we wouldn't say the word rock. If every gender was female, we wouldn't have female. If everything is God, then there just is everything. Okay, let's call it God, all right? if we want. But someone who says there is no God, I agree. There's not a single individual that is God. That's true. And then someone comes to me, there is God. Of course, everything is part of that one universal concept. So I agree with that definition. Because God is a word. God is just a word. It depends on what experience you put on it. So yeah, I'm super comfortable living in a world completely atheist. There is no specific gods. Okay. Doesn't change the fact that I feel one with the stream of consciousness that is close to me. I don't feel one with the sun. Well, unless I think about it, then it starts. I feel one with what my focus is on. Oh, oneness, another thing. Like, we're just talking, right? I'm just vomiting my stuff because it's cool. Oneness, what is that? I felt oneness with everything in the sense that I was sitting in a field. I was 24. This is my first enlightenment experience. It's temporary. It's like an acid trip. It goes, it passes, and you have like, and then you're just another guy. But for a few minutes, I was the cows in the field, looking at the other hippies. We were in the temple, so the cows were looking at the guys dancing and chanting the mantras, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, and I was the joy the cow felt looking at this thing. They found it weird, but they liked it. I was the mountain, and there was clouds, and I didn't say I would like to see sun on the mountain would be. I didn't think that. I just became sun on the mountain. It's just the clouds dissipate so fast, and the mountain was sun because I was the mountain. Feelings. It's just like I was living the thing I want to live that, and it's just going because I was modulating all that. And then many masters speak of oneness, and I have to say one thing about the experience of oneness. We say the words, I was one with everything, the entire universe, and that's bullshit. I was one with only the immediate environment I was able to be conscious of. But because we experience Vishnu, we feel that the entire universe is like that. So we say kind of the word, I was one with all of the universe. Okay, so on the seventh planet of Tau Ceti, how does the acid feel when it rains diamonds? So, what? Okay, you are not one with the entire universe. You were one with your immediate local experience. You're a soul, you're that size. If your soul, not the soul itself, but if the aura, so the radiance of your soul reaches a few kilometers, that's the oneness you have. And it's extremely imprecise. I had no feeling after that. I say, I didn't feel a single insect. How precise was I? Kilometers and kilometers of consciousness of sun on mountains and stuff, but I didn't see leaves fall. I didn't see raccoons or whatever in the forest. No. You see, I was not one with all things. It was a great experience of oneness, but that amount of consciousness I had was diluted on the surface, so extremely imprecise. And that's how I got it. If you want to feel consciousness very rich, you focus it on a single point in someone's hand. Then you feel it very intense. But you take that holy consciousness and you spread it, and you got no detail. Cool? It's cool, right? So we have to be careful with that. If a master says, I'm God, I should be adored as God because I'm divine. A bit what Krishna did for a while. I'm God, just pray me. It's more efficient than praying Vishnu. You know, he was still human learning. Okay, so he had this arrogance. When you truly know yourself as God, the one thing that stands out the most is that everyone else is too. And you would never say, you pray me because I'm God. You would say, you remember who you are. Do you understand? So when we have the oneness first, this is what the ego does. We experience oneness, and as Vishnu, there's only one universe, and for a moment you are that. You take that feeling, I am the only one universe that exists. You bring this back in your human, and you say the same thing. I am the only God that exists. Because for a while you stopped being yourself. For a while you transcended your own identity. So you were Vishnu, the only God worth mentioning. Then you come back and you stay with the feeling, but now you are compressed and local. I am God. I am the Savior. I'm the one to pray. If you pray anyone else, it's not going to work. I am that one. I felt it. Yeah. That's not oneness. That's pretty local. That's very just me. I'm God and you suffer, so you pray. See? So many masters done that. So some people who have cults and who have, all these religions and these movements, and one of them recently is the movement called Falun Gong. The master is a good master, but he has this trip. He felt one with Vishnu, meaning he really worked on himself. He's really holy, but he's the only one, like in his tradition, he's the Jesus. He's the only human being on the planet worth learning from because he's the only savior that exists. Yeah, kind of ruined the entire flow of his wisdom. He could have taught the world this great Falun Gong process, He could have. I found it wonderful. I practiced it. I liked it. It was nice Qigong. And there's a lot of, this guy's so wise. I forgot his name, but he's the master of Falun Gong, a tradition in China, I think. So he spoke of virtue. That's one thing that I like. In his document, he speaks of that, and then he uses the word virtue, probably in his language, but translated as virtue, and he speaks about good behavior. So he has everything, but then, bam, that was his limit. I am the only God human that exists. I can save you and no one else. Bam, it became like a cult. And all the wisdom is fucking awesome. I mean, the Qigong he used is just very good Qigong. It was better than the other master I was studying with, so I just started implementing his Falun Gong techniques in my stuff. But it went to his head. He's a human. He has not accomplished yet. So a guy like that, fully accomplished, well, him and anyone who has that kind of, God complex, because, you don't just think you're God, you know you're God. But you need others to know you're God. That's a mistake. Once accomplished, you need others to know they are capable too. You need others to be able to reach it. I don't need anyone to tell me I'm God. I know I'm God. I want you to know that you are. That's what matters. It is not you who bow to me, it's me in front of my altar with all these statues. And in prostration I bow to my beloved Father and most divine Mother. I bow to you. You need to know who you are. Cool, huh? This is what I feel. When I teach, I go and I just bow. That's my devotional act. Because once I got the feeling I am God, I'm the only Savior, I say 8 seconds. I didn't really calculate. But for 8 seconds, I had that thought this lifetime when I was 34. And I just feel it was less than 10 seconds, but more than 5. So I say 8 because it sounds nice, but I'm not sure. Okay? But for a moment, it's like, oh shit, I just realized I'm the Buddha, the consciousness, the Vishnu, and I'm the one. And I remember I'm just a local human, and I'm not a savior. I can't do it. They have to do it for themselves. I'm a teacher. I'm a preacher. That's what it is. But I had that feeling. Just because it's not my first rodeo, it's not my first time experiencing these things. It's like, oh yeah. It gets to the head. We, pump our head full of hot air, and we want to be adored by others. How uncomfortable it is to be adored by someone else. I mean, it's fun when the other is conscious. The feeling of adoration towards God is nice. It's okay. If someone does it to me, okay, why not? Care to try with yourself? Try that with yourself. See what happens. Self-adoration as God. It's a pretty funky technique because your arrogance just blows up. But hey, you'll integrate, right? You'll see it. So that's a thing I was taught a while ago. Self-adoration as God during the Brahmanical path. You just sit, and I'm going to adore myself as God. And everything that you realize doing that practice, your ego is going to try to use. So just keep working on yourself. It's fine. It's going to get better. Cool, huh? It'll talk about, self-realization, basically. That's what we're doing to end the seminar. Be a good person. And know yourself as everything accessible to you. And even if you feel one with all things, remember, you're just one individual. And if you're an individual, you're a trace of dust under Vishnu's shoe, and he steps on you on every step. He just goes back. Fully divine accomplished, feeling the shoe of God every time he steps. And so the first time I felt, he's stepping on my head every time, and then I realized I've got the benefit of supporting him as he walks. It just changed my role as a parcel of dust under his shoe. You see the metaphor? I decided that if this is what I can do, help the whole grow, then I will, go ahead and step. It's not humiliating. I mean, it's really comforting. It's got great shoes. Just kidding now. Word games, right? So yeah, the vision of all the great masters, their masters are gone super far. They're really holy, and they get a point where their ego is going to use that, and it's okay. It's fine. Until you learn that, you have to keep going, and it is what it is. Breathe. And then, okay, so you got this teenager, all of you guys, this teenager in spirituality that says, okay, so how am I going to accomplish myself, like if you choose now. Okay, and it's a fun game to play. What would you like to be? Do you want to just transcend and be one with a whole again? And that means the absolute end of you cease to exist. But everything you've gained, you bring it back to Brahma, so the whole of the universe progresses, which is kind of cool, but you cease to exist. You're not going to get any credit for that. It's over, That's a way, those who transcend. That's all the Buddhists who focus on vacuity and nothingness, and then they self-realize and they cease existing. It's a way to accomplish yourself. You bring that clarity of mind back to the whole. And now Brahma's more conscious. It's like we progressed. I'd rather be here manifesting shit, because, enjoy the ride, party on. That's my style. I want to be here. Like I said, there used to be 3 things that bring me back every lifetimes: alcohol, cheese, and sex. There's no cheese in heavens. Yeah. Bad Mañana, for a while, she had a blog called No hay queso en el cielo. There's no cheese in heaven, because of basically I was having a chat with her. She said, wow, this is so funny. There's no cheese in heaven. So that's why we are incarnate and everything. It was a very nice little blog. Anyway, so now there's 4. It's sex, alcohol, cheese, video games. This is new. That did not exist before that lifetime. I've never played that. So I was like, shit, yeah, this is a new thing. I need to know. So that's some of my human motivations. Of course, my greatest motivation is I like to teach. Maybe I like the attention. Maybe not. It's still questionable. I think I like attention. Those who know me personally, they know, you'll love it. Yeah, okay, I like it. Don't say I love it. I'm not an addict. But seeing the face of people getting a realization, that is my fuel, man. This is why we do the work. This is why we do therapy with others. This is why we share and help at the canteen or the homeless shelter. It's to see the face of people light up. I mean, sometimes in a homeless shelter, it's like, yeah, thank you, and fuck off, But sometimes they're grateful. Yeah. Those who do that, we help any way we can. You want to feel useful? Be useful. You want a purpose? It's not God who will give it to you. It's you. Give yourself a purpose. Give yourself a purpose that people actually want. If you say, oh, I found my purpose, I'm singing opera in the shopping mall. You're going to have a lot of people who don't really want you to have that purpose. Okay? Like when you want to help someone, try to find someone who actually wants your help. You all have this annoying person who want to, let me help you so much. When they come, it's like, but you're disturbing. Like, just let me do it. Okay? We've seen, especially in the teenage, in the adults, we're more responsible, but try to help someone who actually wants to help, and try to help in a way that you actually have a skill to do it, so you don't become just an annoyance. So if you want to help, the action of helping does nothing in terms of dharma. What works is not when you help someone, when you're kind. What works is when someone is happy that you have helped them. Try to understand that. If you go and help someone that didn't want it, you have not done an act of kindness. Because what matters is not the action itself, but the results. Only results matter. Did you find a way to produce some joy in someone? Or some peace of mind in someone? Some appreciation, some gratitude? So an act of charity is valid when the charity becomes manifest and the other either will respond or not. The other maybe doesn't respond, but you know that you have been contributing. So just wanting to help because I need to become a saint, I'm going to help any way I can, and you start to just disturb people. Make sure that you help people who actually want your help. Okay, do you want help with that? Yeah, okay. And then they're grateful. You open the door, and grandma goes, carajo, no estoy tan débil. And you know that you still held the door because you had a good intention, and it's okay. If you're offended because grandma is angry at you for suggesting she's weak, if you're angry, why were you opening the door? Was it for charity or for getting validation? You remember that teaching, right? So, yeah. Be useful, be kind, love, pray, and get good at supernatural abilities, because it just means that you're going to help more. I'm going to finish this with my all-time favorite teaching of the Buddhist Sutras. This is the most inspiring and powerful teaching I've ever received and practiced in my Buddhist teaching, in my Buddhist path. The greatest joy results from an act of charity for which you get no validation. When you do an act of charity and no one will even know and recognize you, then your ego cannot get anything out of it but your self-pride. I am proud of me. That's the best one. This is the practice I've been doing, and people find me fucking crazy sometimes. Miki, I mean, she's starting to say, okay, he's really weird, but damn, sometimes you give and you have nothing to give. It's like, yeah, but this is what I'm following, the stream of Dharma. Yeah. So, yeah, but they don't even want your help. Well, they don't know they want the help, but they'll benefit from it. But I mean, they don't care. You know, if you look at the karma, it's going to save people's lives. It's going to help. It's just no one will know about it. It's just at one point, anyway. This is the. It's one of the key to being a bodhisattva is a perfected being. That's what it means. It's to do charity for the pure sake of the result, and be proud of you, and never want anyone to be proud of you. The bad pride is when you want others to say how great you are. And then when they don't say you're great, you're pissed. Your pride is hurt. But the inner pride, which is a sentiment of gratitude for your own involvement. I'm grateful to me for having done that. That makes you feel, I have purpose. I exist for a reason. Because I've brought more peace in the world, or joy, or happiness, or love. I bring a benefit. And doing this without the recognition. Now, if someone turns around and says, thank you, don't go, no, I don't want recognition. I'd rather be a bodhisattva. No, this is control. You say thank you. You say, all right, thank you for saying thank you. I'm so grateful when people are grateful to me. I'm grateful that they are. I mean, it's self-contained. It's a swastika kind of thing, you know. You live that. When people say thank you, you're so happy that they validated that what you did is cool. So we become grateful of the gratitude. And it just keeps nourishing, like, wow, yeah, this person is my friend, you know, because we're together in some kind of trip. Gaming often, but not all the time. So an act of charity, don't make an effort to get no recognition. Just don't care. Just do what you believe is right. A great act of charity for which you will not get a recognition is pay for the schools, the teachers, the asphalt on the road. Pay for the infrastructure. Pay your taxes. Paying your taxes to your government is an act of charity for which you will not get no recognition. And you can say that everything is corrupt and yada yada yada, but look at every teacher who gets their pay. Yeah, but there's not enough. Doesn't matter. Okay, look, let's not get into the problems. They get paid. There's doctors. I know you pay them, but there's doctors. There's water in the tap. Do you understand? You're contributing to the system. And there's so much money well invested for the firemen to do their work, for the police officers to bring security. There's so much energy and money every day invested because all of the system, it's billions flowing, and all of the system is paid for. That when you have a guy somewhere that does a scandalous theft of $1 million, it's an infinitely small drop of water in the ocean of everything that was correctly spent for the system to work. But you know, corruption, be positive. Your system is so wonderful that you have the time to complain about how this actor did that role on that TV series. That is freely not freely, but that is easily delivered on your TV screen because you're so bored and have nothing to do that you're going to entertain yourself with something completely non-essential and complain when the internet shuts down. Okay? So the great majority of taxes you pay pretty much everywhere, almost everywhere, I said almost, and America is one of those places that the majority, it is given back to the people. And some not. Yeah, I mean, good. So, did you ever steal something? Anything? Now you blame someone else for stealing, and you're angry at them? Did you ever try to attract attention? Make too much noise in the party, and then you're not happy at how the politician just go on a power trip because basically they remind you? Oh. Try to see what causes your reaction towards everything, and you will realize that it's you're reacting about. If you want this world to be better, the solution is not to kill the bad politicians. It's to spread compassion through your actions. And the more we have of that, the more the politicians will also be one of those, because every human will have some. See, the world gets better, so the elected powers will also be some of those people who wants the best for humanity. Just keep going. You want to save the world? Do it one smile at a time. Adi Balantu, trademark. Keep saying it. All right? I love you guys. Peace. See you next time. I don't know when, but I'm coming back to El Paso often. I mean, often. Once, maybe twice a year. Let's see. All right? Peace. Cheers.